Welcome, people. This is going to be a little kind of a different thing. I have topics that I want to talk about and complain about, so I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do it live, and I'm going to answer some questions, and I'm going to things like that. We'll read donations. We'll do all that. This will be fun. This is a little bit structure, not just willy-nilly with this. So there's things I want to talk about. We're obviously going to talk about the Game Awards tomorrow on the main channel when the nominees get announced. There are other things I want to talk about with this, and then I want to talk about some things regarding Xbox. Let's give some shout-outs in the chat. Volcanic, it's not my birthday. Scorch, Miro, Casual Noob, Kalix, Elliot, Blue, Miro. DM me on Twitter if you have Twitter. I'll try to get that figured out for you. I'm not 100% sure. Blizmo, Three Eyes, channel member, Brannon. Elements joining the RGT army. I appreciate you, broski. Aegon, Brian, Kalix, Florida Boy, Liza, Phil Spencer. So we're just gonna jump into our first topic of the show, which is, because I am calling this a show, let's talk about this Game Awards stuff, man. The Game Awards already has enough scrutiny, dealing with it. As far as how things work, as far as Blaze with the $5 Jono, JT for 3. Appreciate you, Blaze. Hey, I need a Knicks win today, pal. I need a Knicks win. But the Game Awards, this is something that's been going on for a while. And I think we're starting to see a lot of people kind of wake up to this Game Awards thing. It's things that I have been saying, other people have been saying, not just me. But people are starting to wake up to some of the weird shit about it. I know some people, they've gotten rid of how the jury, they used to have a list of the jury and like who was on the jury. People like Newsweek, people like Variety, people like Kind of Funny Games, What's Good Games, podcasts, just random podcasts. And some of these are big, but some of these kind of aren't. Individuals are on the jury. You used to be able to see the jury. Can't see the jury anymore. But the biggest thing with this, I am not streaming Stray, you psychopath. The biggest thing with this is how DLC, expansion packs, remakes, and remasters are now eligible. The Game Awards aims to recognize the best creative and technical work each year, irrespective of the format of that content's released. Expansion packs, new game seasons, DLCs, remakes, remasters are eligible in all categories if the jury deems the new creative and technical work to be worthy of a nomination. Factors such as the newness of the content and its price and value should be taken into consideration. I have a lot of things to say about that. But first, oh no, it's Alex with the $5. Peace through power, that Command & Conquer, bro. I love the original Command & Conquer soundtrack. The crazy thing is, what's up, ABE? The crazy thing is, the dude that made the soundtrack to this game was like 16 or 17 when he made this. And it's just like absolute bangers. Are DLC, expansion packs, and remake/remasters eligible? Why are we putting all these together? Why are all these things put together? DLC is different than an expansion. Well, DLC is different than an expansion pack. An expansion pack is different than a remake. A remake is different different than a remaster. These are all different things. A remake is completely different than a remaster. A remaster is exactly what it says. Bringing something up to modern standards, whether it be through visuals or controls or both. A remake is taking the original game and changing it. DLC, you know why they did this. because they want that Elden Ring DLC in there. How do you do something? What the fuck just happened here, Windows? How do you do something for years? Because this was just added. Broken Games HD BG did a search on the website to see if this had been there for a while, and it hasn't been. This is all new. This was just added like November 13th. How do you change the metrics? How do you change the metrics? Steven Sullivan with $5. Say something nice about Pikmin. Okay. It's a very good-looking series. Looks great on the GameCube. Looks great on the Switch. Definitely very nice graphics. But I don't understand. I don't understand how DLC, how expansion packs, how things like this can be considered game of the year. You have DLC. You have to have the base game. You have to have the base game in order to have that. So it's contingent on having something else. It's weird to me, man. I don't get it. What's up, Cameron? Thank you for the $5 dono, broski. Appreciate you. First time dono. You know what this says to me? It says that this year was a down year for video games. Look at everyone. Look at everyone as far as like first party games are concerned or bigger third party games. Yes, there is stuff that was decent, but it hasn't been a banner year for video games. What does Sony have? Name me Sony's best game this year. What did Xbox have? Name me Xbox's best game this year. What did Nintendo have? Name me Nintendo's best game this year. There's nothing that really jumps out at you. Thank you, Edward Scissorhands. So to bend the rules because of how the year played out, like, are you going to do this next year when, you know, allegedly we're under the impression that we'll be getting more games? Right. And Final Fantasy, first off, I you know, a remake is fine to me, because a remake, yes, you still need the base game, but you're changing so much about it. A remaster, at that point, you might as well just remaster remaster Ocarina of Time and then call it a day, because that's the best game of all time according to Metacritic. I don't get this. I do not understand this logic here. And if you have something, this is an interactive show. That's the point of this. If you have something, if you can give me some reasoning and stuff, I would love to hear it, and I will read it out loud. So go ahead, give me your reasonings for why you think that this has all changed all of a sudden. Why, and if you think this is acceptable, if you think that this is something good to expand it to things like that. Sly Rye with a $5 donation. Watching on my washing machine, which is also an Xbox, while using my PS5 Pizza Hut pizza warmer attachment. Have you seen it? What timeline is this? I have seen it. Bro, I don't even have... There is no Pizza Hut near me, but I also live in the Northeast, so there's lots of, like, real pizza, but I do enjoy the occasional chain pizza. You know what I'm saying? Blaze with another $5. I'm the biggest FromSoft fan. The DLC was good, not Game of the Year worthy. It should not be on there. You know what's funny to me? Is I think my Game of the Year isn't even going to be nominated. And my Game of the Year is Batman Arkham VR. That was the best game I played this year. That was the most fun, the most creative, the most unique. It gave me a different experience than I had been given for a lot of things. I loved how it made me feel like Batman with the VR. But you think Newsweek and Variety and all these randos that are on the jury, because it's not, it's what the jury wants. And the jury of people are what I call the usual suspects. The same people you see at all these events. Me and John were having a conversation about this. Previews. Video game previews. And because John Spawnwave always brings up something when we're playing Call of Duty or stuff like that. Whatever new game is coming out, he says, oh, the previews are looking good. The previews are looking good. And I noticed this. I kind of tracked it for like 6 months, a year. And we always seem to have this conversation. So I asked him a question a couple nights ago, and I reiterated it last night. I said, John, when was the last time a big game got a preview from all the major outlets and it was negative? And there was concerns about the game. And he sat there for a minute and said, I don't know. And I said, exactly, John. Because it's the same people that are going to these same events, that go to the Game Awards, that are on the jury for the Game Awards, that all are friends with these websites, and nothing gets a bad preview anymore. Nothing. Redfall got amazing previews. Find me negative ones. Star Wars Outlaws, one of the biggest disappointments this year. A game that is Star Wars in name only. Great previews. Paul Tassi over at Forbes wrote about how all the previews were great. What are we doing here? Is this to actually talk about the games? Is this to actually... And I understand. You don't want to be rude about it and be like, oh, you know, this completely sucks. Whatever the case may be. You have to be constructive in your criticism, especially if you're trying to be like an industry person and you want things, you know, but you have to imagine that maybe people are scared to get blacklisted. Maybe people are scared that they're not going to get access to stuff anymore. Because it seems like that seems to be a factor in things. Look at that whole situation with Dragon Age, with that million subscriber website that did a preview for the game and was less than pleasant about everything. Nothing disrespectful. Nothing out of the ordinary. Nothing inherently wrong with what they said. It was just their preview. What they saw as a fan of Dragon Age, as a fan of games in this genre. And then allegedly, communications with EA and BioWare completely went away, even though they had done stuff for BioWare, such as bringing back their forums. Like nothing. Yes, Anthony brings up a good point. Previews have always been sus since the PS3, Xbox 360 generation. It's gotten way worser. And I agree with you on that. I don't think these previews are a preview of something used to be a more objective look at it. It obviously wasn't a review. But if there was problems, you would know about frame rate, graphics, gameplay mechanics. You would learn about this from the preview. And then the review would then sometimes reflect on that. And there's different levels to previews as well. A game that's 40% complete, and that's something I kind of miss. That's something I really miss with a lot of games, because when you go back to the era of GamePro, EGM, or stuff like that, they would tell you, they'd be like, okay, we played a 40% build according to the developer of this game. So you would kind of know, well, are these things that can be ironed out or are they not? It seems like these preview events that we get now come within a couple of weeks, a couple of months, potentially when the game has already gone gold. So is that a preview of the game, or is that marketing for the game? And let me be clear. There is nothing wrong with marketing your game as a game developer. I have done plenty of marketing campaigns working with companies where they say, hey, play our game, here's some money, let us know what you think. I have turned down games that either I'm not interested in or they don't want to abide by how I want to do it. I could tell you a big game, a big popular mobile game that wanted to work with me, and they wanted me to show off their new map that they just have. And I said, well, do I need to, like, how does this work? And I was like, I've never played your game before, so I don't really understand it or anything like that. It's also available on PC as well. And I was like, look, I'll play it. I'll check it out. It seems all right, and people really love this game. But I can't really talk about a new map when I don't know the old map. So why don't we do it this way? Why don't we do it where I finally played insert name of game, and then we could go from there instead of just showing off this new map. Do you know what they told me? They told me, they were like, well, we could send you footage, and we could send you footage of the new map, and you could say that a friend sent it to you. Hand to God. Swear on my grandmother. And I was like, this was a good amount of money, too. A good amount of money. And I was like, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. If you want to do a 60-second, 90-second ad in a video, sure, be my guest. We'll figure out the money. We'll make it less, because obviously if you're doing a dedicated video, you're going to, not charge a company as much. Or if you're doing a dedicated video, you would charge a company more because the whole video is about that game. But if it's just a 60-second ad, 90-second ad, it's obviously going to be less because it's essentially just a commercial. It's just to get knowledge of the game out there. And I was just like, no, man. I was just like, no, I can't do that, dude. I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to pass on that. Like, it didn't feel right. And it made me think, like, are there people out there that are doing this? And I know we've kind of strayed away from the Game Awards talk, but I feel like it's all relevant. Because I feel like there are bad faith actors within the industry. I feel like there are bad faith people within journalism. I don't think all journalists are bad people. But I do find it interesting if I make a video talking about a certain website or a certain individual or stuff like that is a journalist, how they all get mad at me. Y'all saw that in real time if you followed me on Twitter a couple months ago. The amount of people that came after me for daring to question things. People that I was friends with. And maybe I'm still friends with them. I harbor no ill will towards them. But my logic is, that would be like somebody making a video about YouTubers and how they all suck. And then, like, I took offense to that. Why would I take offense to that? I know I don't suck. I mean, I kind of do. But, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know you're probably not talking about me. And if you are talking about me, name me by name, because I'll name you by name. Let's be adults here. This is video games at the end of the day. It is a fun medium. It is a thing. And I've seen the other side of video game journalism because I was one. I was an editor-in-chief at a website, and I saw the stuff that we had to do and the conflicts that we had behind the scenes. And, can we do this? Can we say that? This, that, or the other? Are we going to hurt our relationship with this game company? And back then, this was, nearly 10 years ago. Maybe even 10 years ago. I remember Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival. We had a working relationship with Nintendo. And they would essentially either send me a physical copy of the games, or they would send me digital copies, like review codes. And we did Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival, and we gave it a 1.5 out of 10. And the dude who wrote the review was like, "Do you think this is gonna hurt us?" And I was like, "I mean, what are you gonna do? If it does, it does. If the game sucks, the game sucks." I just find it very interesting, and it all comes back to the jury. You know what? I actually want to bring up a tweet. What's going on, Jay Robertson? What's up, Dan White? I want to bring up a tweet that I saw. So you can get an idea of these people that are doing the voting. And this is something that I have known for a very long time. And it's something that I have talked about. I've probably made videos on it too. But I feel like the average person doesn't know this sort of stuff, because it was like a great awakening for people, because I actually shared it in one of the group chats with the boys, and they were like, yeah, we all know this. And I'm like, yeah, but look at the reaction that people are having. Look at the reaction that people are having towards this. I've got it up now. IGN, LA Times, VentureBeat, Game Rant, National Public Radio, The Verge, MinMax, Inverse, Jeff Gertzman Show, PC Gamer, Touch Arcade, Pride, Variety, What's Good Games, Polygon, Kinda Funny. Now, I want everyone in the chat right now to tell me, out of all of these sites, out of all these publications, now this is not all of them, but they are on the jury. Led, I don't vote. Sorry. Drummer Punk, member of the RGT Army for 26 months. What did I think about the Tyson fight? I will talk about it in just a second, Drummer Punk. But out of all these websites that I have listed here, or these podcasts, how many of them do you think do a good job? Like, how many of them do you look at them, or do you visit their website, or do you like what they do? For me, out of this list, I would say IGN does have, an occasional good thing. I guess VentureBeat to some degree. There's been a couple things. I mean, yeah, Pride.com. What do you mean? What do you mean, Dark B Andy? You don't know about Pride.com? They're such a big publication. They are on the esteemed panel of jury members. I say all that to say, somebody brought it up here. Can we just ignore the Game Awards? Unfortunately, you can't ignore the Game Awards, because now the Game Awards have been given this prestige. They've been given this honor to the point of where it's the main award show. Do people care about the DICE Awards? Do people care about any other video game award show? No. They care about this one. This is the one that gets all the eyes. This is the one that gets the industry attention. This is the one that people travel to go to. It's been given this pedestal. So you can't, there's nothing you can do. You can't ignore what is thrust into your face. Eventually, you're going to have to come face to face with it. All right, before we get into the next topic here, which is Xbox and all their madness, what did I think about the Tyson fight? It was exactly what I thought it was going to be. It was going one way or the other. It was either going to be an absolute, crapshoot of just theatrics, or it was going to be a real fight. And I definitely leaned more towards the crapshoot. I definitely leaned more towards the nonsense of it. And it looks like I was right. I just wish that it was a thing, but I get the pageantry. It did a lot. It got a lot of eyes on boxing, and you always hear people say, "Oh, well, this is bad for boxing," blah blah blah. I don't necessarily think it is. Like, what is boxing in 2024? It's not like boxing has a high pedigree. Let's go Knicks. You know, and like you said, 20 mil. I'll get in the ring for 20 mil, pal. Let's go. Let's go next. I'll field this one question before we get into our next topic here. What do I think about Stuttering Craig's attempt at making a Game Awards show? I'm actually doing side scrollers in December. I think I'm going on there December 12th. Honestly, I think it's good in theory. The execution, I'm not 100% sure of. I almost feel, and like I like Craig. I think he's a good dude, but I almost feel like he's trying to be too opposite of the normal Game Awards instead of just being kind of its own thing. Like having a category. I think one of the categories, I could be wrong on this, but this is just what I had heard through the grapevine. Like one of the categories is the most woke game. And like, I get it. Like talking about woke games and stuff like that has been very beneficial for people. It's been very lucrative from a financial standpoint. Lots of people are making good money talking about it. So I understand like why they do that. But in the same breath, it's like, you know, it kind of diminishes some of the seriousness of how people will take these awards. And like, why would you want to give an award to something like, it's kind of like, you know, the Razzies and stuff like that. Like, I don't know. It's a lot to undertake though. Much more than I would do. I've been to the Catskills. All right. So our next topic on the docket. What in God's name is this? What in God's name is this?
There is a very unstable situation.
Before we get into this topic, I want people in the chat, I want you to let me know if you think this is good marketing. If anyone likes this, thinks this is good, state your case. Please. State your case. And I will treat it with respect. And because I'm genuinely curious. In the meantime, I'll open up this sugar-free root beer.
We are going to have to act if we want to live in a different world.
Great visual, shitty messaging. This is an Xbox. So, an Xbox's conquest to demand relevancy within the gaming market and the gaming sphere. They've now decided, Drummer Punk, the $2 dono, it's a dick in a box. Thank you for the dono. In Xbox's infinite wisdom, and let me be clear, I have always been critical of Xbox's marketing. I think Xbox's marketing for the past 3 or 4 years has been terrible. The fact that they don't have a classics dedicated section on when you're buying games or when you're on Game Pass or something, the fact that they don't mention that from time to time, like, hey, you can play all these classic Xbox games included with Game Pass, Xbox 360 games included with Game Pass. The fact that they make it so hard to find those sorts of things. Whereas on the opposite end of the spectrum, Nintendo is always thrusting that shit in your face. It shows you the disconnect between the marketing. However, this is an Xbox. Aegon, I like that, and I will mention it in just a second. I was not on the Spawncast because we record it on Fridays and Friday nights, and I was not home Friday night. I was at an event for my cousin's birthday. This is an Xbox, the console. This is an Xbox for your lap, a laptop. This is an Xbox that tags along Steam Deck. This is a cat box. This is an Xbox that goes on the wall, a television. This is an Xbox that makes calls, a cell phone. This is a bento box. This is an Xbox on the inside, a Fire Stick. This is an Xbox that you wear, a VR headset, and this is still an Xbox. Now, Egg on the Last brings up an interesting point. I don't like the ad, but Celia was right on the Spawncast. It got everyone talking about it, which is the goal of marketing. Okay. You know, to be fair, that is the goal of marketing.
Very unstable situation on
And I don't disagree with her assessment of it. However, I do have to question when you haven't been having good marketing at all. When your company seems to lack an identity, is this the best course of action? Because it seems like, you know, to me, it seems like it's that thing that's going to get an initial boost of eyes on it and questions, and then it's not going to be longevity based. How many people are going to talk about this in a couple of days, in a couple of weeks? You know, is this a sustainable marketing avenue? And time will tell with that. But here's my problem. If everything is an Xbox, then nothing is an Xbox. This harkens back to the days of when, if you're older, like me, when your mom would come in the room and tell you to turn off the Nintendo. And every video game was a Nintendo. In my household, it was the Sega. Not Sega, the Sega. My dad would come into my room. All right, I'm taking the Sega. I'm taking away the Sega. You're not taking away my Sega. I will stab you, Dad. I will stab you. I didn't go that far. But, like, my dad would come in and he would take away the Sega when I did something wrong. Whether it was the Sega Genesis, whether it was my Nintendo 64, whether it was my NES, it was the Sega. That's the problem with this. Is you've created a thing where it's like, well, if I have this, I have a laptop, I have a cell phone, I have a television, I could buy a Fire Stick, I have all of these things. So why am I buying this? And if that's what you want to do, if you just want to, everything is an Xbox, get rid of the Xbox. Go third party. You want to be a software publisher. You can't try and tiptoe the line. Dante's Gambit with £5. Appreciate you, broski. Prediction: Epic to sue PlayStation to get their store on there like mobile. Then Xbox follow them like with mobile. Boom, PS5 is an Xbox. I mean, a PS5 kind of is an Xbox. Kind of is. I could play Sea of Thieves on there. I could play Indiana Jones on there. I could play the new Doom on there.
very unstable
I could probably play Perfect Dark on there.
unfolding very quickly.
Like, what is this? If everything is an Xbox, nothing is an Xbox. An Xbox is not an identifiable object. And here's something I want to harken on. I don't know if harken. No, I think that's right. I always see this shit from people. I always see it. Well, traditional consoles are dying. Traditional consoles and the traditional way of video games is a dying thing. Microsoft is ahead of the curve. On what fucking planet is that true? Nintendo just had their most successful system ever. Ever. Let me bring it in here. Ever. PlayStation 5. 65 million units sold. That's the mark of a dead thing, of a dead medium. Kids don't care about consoles. They just want to play Fortnite. We're not talking about those weird kids. And there are a lot of them. We're talking about kids who still like consoles. We're talking about adults, teenagers that still like consoles, that still buy a console. If console sales were nowhere near what they have been, bro, we used to be a place where you could sell 20 to 30 million consoles, and that was a successful generation. Not year. Generation. GameCube. Xbox. Those were considered successful generations. They sold nowhere near the amount of consoles that are selling nowadays. So if nobody cares about consoles, why are consoles still selling? The math ain't mathin'. And what is Xbox? What does Xbox tell you? Oh, great. You know, we can make all the great games in the world. They're not going to sell consoles. Really? So then why do people buy a Nintendo platform? Why do people buy a Sony platform? Why? Is it because everything is available everywhere? No. It's because if you want to play God of War, you want to play Horizon, I would say you want to play Concord, but you can't. You want to play Helldivers, you want to play Spider-Mans, you want to play it first, you buy it on your PlayStation 5. You want to play Mario, you want to play Zelda, you want to play Metroid, all 2.9 million of you. You buy a Nintendo. If I want to play, if you made good games that people liked, that weren't games as a service, that weren't games that are supposed to live for 10 years, which means that you skimp on content on day one, Halo Infinite, you would sell consoles. And I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. Well, I don't know. None of you guys are saying it. But there will be people that say, well, okay, but what about PC? Factor in PC to all of this. And sure, I would be glad to. Because if you look at PlayStation game sales from when PlayStation first started putting their games onto PC versus now, it's night and day difference. That initial first batch of PlayStation first-party games that went to PC, Days Gone was selling on PC. Look at the new games that have been coming out, the more recent games. They're not selling anywhere near as good as that first batch of games did, and arguably these games are better than those first batch of games was. Final Fantasy 16, a game that was a PlayStation exclusive for consoles, went to PC. Did it light the world on fire? What were the sales like for that? What were the Steam charts for that? Spoiler alert, they weren't good. They weren't good. That's just what it boils down to. I don't think Square Enix is happy at all with how that game performed on PC. So if the logic is, well, I don't need a console because eventually I can play these games on PC, why are those people not showing up? Where you know, it's like that modern audience thing where you make a game for Twitter. And then, you know, for the fringe people on Twitter, and you're like, oh, this game's going to sell. These people are going to support me. They're going to support my game. Spoiler alert. It is a lot easier to be like, wow, your game looks great, than to plop down $40 for your game, $60 for your game, $70 for your game, $20 for your game. It's a lot easier to gas you up than it is to actually do something to support you. And people just don't realize that. People do not live in the real world when it comes to things like this. They don't. They never have. Now, if you want to support me, you could do a donation. You could buy the book that I just dropped in the chat. Bam, bam, bam. But I don't necessarily expect everyone to. I understand. What's up, Ram? Like, Microsoft has a huge identity crisis. And can we please, I'm not DSP, can we please talk about Phil Spencer and his health? That Ozempic, dude, I don't know if that's what he's on. I'm pretty sure that is what he's on. That man does not look well. That man does not look well. He looks a bit sickly. He lost a lot of weight since the last time we saw him, which was not very long ago. And I've heard, oh, it's just a bad angle. It was bad lighting. Like, no, you do not look healthy. You look ill. And if you're good, then you're good. But Phil, and here's something I also brought up in our little group chat there. Paul Gale Network with $1.99. Ooh, yeah. Your book is good nostalgia fun. Glad you're enjoying it, Paul. Thank you for picking up a copy. No, John doesn't ever cuss. He said, gosh darn, last night when we were playing Call of Duty. Swear to God. Shit, I lost my train of thought. What was I talking about? Phil. So, isn't it kind of weird how Phil is doing these interviews now when, like, where's Sarah Bond been? Because I thought she was the main person at Xbox now. Like, why is it Sarah Bond doing these interviews? Why is Phil Spencer still doing these interviews instead of her? I would much rather hear what she has to say than Phil. Because at least Sarah Bond hasn't lied to my face yet. Quest for Glory Gamer with a $5 donation. There will still be consoles going forward in the realm of diminishing returns. They will be smaller, portable, dockable, and more efficient. You see, I'm of the mindset that I think consoles are still doing... There is no reason under the sun right now for the PlayStation 5 to have sold as much as it has. I'll go ahead and say it. There's no reason for it to have sold 64, 65 million copies. The software does not necessarily back it up, in my opinion. I still don't have a killer game where I'm like, this is the game. Astrobot is really good. Ratchet and Clank is really good. All of those games are really good. But for me, I still haven't gotten that killer app. Yet, they've sold 65 million of a $500 system. Cramster with $1.99. Thanks for keeping the game industry in check, dude. I try, man. I try. David Lopez with a $4.99er. Hey, Sean, did you hear that Jeff is trying to copyright the Game Awards? I did. You might remember, probably 7 or 8 years ago, there was a duo of people, the Fine Bros, where they would basically take stupid children or teenagers, and they would be like, react to this. And they would give them like video games or movies or music or stuff like that. And Fine Bros wanted to copyright reaction videos. They wanted that to be their own thing. And it did not work. It did not work very well for them. You know what I'm saying? It didn't exactly go the way they planned, and they ended up walking it back very slowly. They came out with apologies and all this sort of stuff. I don't know that you can patent the Game Awards. I guess, you know, you could, and then you could make the Video Game Awards. But once again, it's kind of like, why? What are you accomplishing with this? Of course Dwayne, they faked everything on that thing. DJ Tambora with a $2 donation. Appreciate you, broski. Yes, Casualties of Gaming. This is Command and Conquer music. How many pages is the book? Clocking in around 99, I believe. Every N64 wrestling game released both in the United States and Japan. Interviews and comments from wrestlers who appeared in the games and the homebrew projects that keep these games alive. Life is short and expensive. Pirate what you can. All right. So those are my two topics. I feel like I've covered them well. We're going to go for about 20 more minutes. So get your questions in, and I will answer them, but pending time. Oh, no, I don't know why it puts reading age is 8 to 18, because it's not. And I tried to change it to like 8 to whatever, and it wouldn't let me. Yes, even ECW Hardcore Revolution. I had to revisit that game. David Lopez with $4.99. I'm looking forward to Side Scrollers, the Real Game Awards on YouTube. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I want to see how it plays out. Talk about Mike Tyson. We talked about it earlier. You know, it ended up being a dog and pony show. It ended up being just, you know, a spectacle, which is fine. You know, It is what it is, but I was hoping to see him go one more time. Do I go to Game Expos much? I haven't in a while. I went to too many games last year. I had fun at it. The thing about Game Expos for me is like, you know, for a lot of people that's like vacation. You know, it's fun. But like for me, it's more kind of work. So, you know, I'm kind of selective about which ones I do. Have I ever double or triple dipped on a game? Well, technically, Super Mario 64, because one is my real copy and one is the bootleg copy that I'm giving to my cousin for Christmas. Video on the main channel. Be sure to check it out. The Knicks are fine. The Knicks are fine. There's a lot of overreactions. Look, all right. When it comes to all these overreactions about the Knicks, I'm like, bro, there are other teams to be worried about. There are other teams. First off, we didn't have a good start last year either. Everyone seems to have amnesia from that. We didn't start out well last year. The 76ers and the Bucks are the teams you worry about. The 76ers and the Bucks are the teams that you need to talk about. Scott the Waz, yeah, we filmed a video. Did he never post it? We did a video talking about which console generation was the best. We filmed like an hour and a half. Thank you, Casualties of Gaming. Be like Casualties of Gaming. Buy it there. Make sure you leave a 5-star review if you enjoy it. And if you don't, that's fine.
There is a very unstable situation.
Pacers need to worry. Everyone focuses on the second game we played against the Pacers, not the first one where we absolutely eviscerated them. It's like the league is dead. People seem to forget, like, there are bad teams, but even a bad team can have a good night and win stuff. People are like, oh, well, you know, you barely beat the Nets the other night. You had a 20-point lead. Okay, the Bulls had a 22-point lead on us, and we should have beaten them. The Nets are not like a 1-in-10 team. Right now, if you beat the Nets, statistically speaking, if you beat the Nets, you are beating a team that is better than a team that has Giannis Antetokounmpo and Damian Lillard on it. You are beating a team that has Joel Embiid and Paul George on it. Thank you, Gaming 666. Like, talk to me in January about problems with the team. Everyone was ready to cry about Mikal Bridges. Why did the Knicks win the game against the Nets? Because of Mikal Bridges. Because Mikal Bridges was shooting well and got the block at the end. Cry about his defense all you want. Look at pick and rolls. When nobody hedges on the pick and roll, Cat is not a good hedger. So when they do a pick and roll on Cat with Bridges guarding the main ball handler, he can't get into position because Cat isn't moving and hedging the screen. Kelvin with a 499er. What are your thoughts about all of the Game of the Year nominees being games from the East? Final Fantasy VII, Astrobot, Metaphor, Black Myth. What's going on with the West? I mean, the West has a problem, man. The West has had a problem for a while. But in that same vein, I would put Batman Arkham VR in there. You know, I think you'll probably have like one random indie in there too, because there's always, I think, what's that game? Baltaro? I think Baltaro will be in there. And I'm not even sure if Black Myth is in there, because people seem to forget. Black Myth reviewed only okay-ish. It sold very well, but it didn't review very well. I actually don't expect Black Myth to be in there. If anything, I think Stellar Blade will get in before Black Myth. Balarto, yeah, Balatro. I don't know. Thoughts on the current state of sports games and the complete lack of competition? It sucks. It sucks. Yes, Nintendo. It's amazing. It's my favorite game of this year. It sucks. There's no competition. If you want to play football, you have one game. You want to play baseball, you have one game. You want to play basketball, you have one game. I used to have like 7 every fucking year. I had handfuls of games. I would buy the NBA Shootout, NBA Live, NBA 2K. If I had an original Xbox at the time, I would have bought NBA Inside the Zone. You had a GameCube, you bought Courtside with Kobe Bryant. You had choices, you had options. And this created better games because a company would do something in one of their games and the other company would be like, oh, that's fucking cool. Let's put that in our game too. Balatro. Okay, there we go. What size MetaQuest S did you get? I got the cheapest one, bro. I'm a cheap bastard. Yes, sir, Movie Madness Entertainment. Appreciate you, broski. I do plan on being there next year. Had a very good time. It was good. It was good. I had a lot of fun. So I am planning on being there. Yeah, Ultra Pro Wrestling, that's the day one. I actually talk about that in the book, too. Yes, Ultra Pro Wrestling is looking good. This is a Nex Cool Mint Air Bar JK AB Original. It has a lot of names. Yes, I agree with you, Adam. This year has been lackluster. And people, like, I swear to God, if I see any fucking jackasses making videos like 2024 was a banner year for video games, I will lose my shit. And actually, kind of want to bring something up here. People say, whenever somebody says a year, and they're like, "Oh, this is the best year ever in gaming." People said that about like 2024, 2020, or not 2024, 2023, 2022. This is what I wanted to show them. Let's just look at 1998. Banjo-Kazooie, StarCraft, Half-Life, Baldur's Gate, Ocarina, Resident Evil 2, Parasite Eve, Sonic Adventure. Shut the fuck up. Panzer Saga, Marvel vs. Capcom. This is just a smattering. A smattering. A smattering. A smattering. Here's the list. There's RE2, Panzer Dragoon Saga, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, House of the Dead, Parasite Eve, StarCraft, hell, Warhammer. Yeah, this month, April kind of sucked. I'm not a big fan of April there, but like, bro, you got to stop this nonsense. Deep Fear is a classic. Street Fighter Alpha 3. Symphony of the Night was the Saturn version. Yeah. F-Zero X. Star Ocean. Director's Cut. Metal Gear fucking Solid. NFL Blitz. Like, what are we doing here? Medieval. Turok 2. Fallout 2. Sonic R. I like Sonic R. I'm like, come on, bro. What are you doing? That's just a random year. 2004. Don't even get me started. San Andreas. I don't care about. All right, well, these are the best-selling games. San Andreas, Halo 2, Underground 2, Spider-Man 2, Battlefront. Famitsu games, Snake Eater, Twin Snakes. What are we doing? Shut your goddamn mouth. Look at this. Half-Life, Burnout 3, Unreal Tournament, Ninja Gaiden, Prime 2, Pandora Tomorrow, the greatest football game ever, Ratchet and Clank, Snake Eater, Chronicles of Riddick, Dragon Quest 8, Beautiful Joe, Gran Turismo 4, Paper Mario, Thousand Year Door. What in God's name are we doing? These people are nuts. They're nuts. They're insane. Simpsons Hit and Run.
Very unstable situation.
What's up, Chris?
That is unfolding.
Chris, member of the RGT Army for 23 months. Hey, brother, how are you? Thanks for all you do. I'm doing good, man. Thank you for coming by. 1995. God almighty. Virtua Fighter 2. Bro, Virtua Fighter 2, Tekken 2, Twisted Metal, Doom, Panzer Dragoon, Diddy Kong, Vector Man, Virtua Fighter 32X. These are just the best selling. Sales aren't necessarily indicative of everything. But, like, come on, dude. Mortal Kombat 3. I'm still in my 30s. The final year of my 30s. Killer Instinct. NBA Jam. Mortal Kombat 2. Whew. Front Mission. Chrono Trigger. Like, come on, bro. Dracula X.
There is a very
Comic
unstable
Zone.
situation on the ground that is
Show me anything.
unfolding.
Show me anything that's touching any of this. 94? Don't even get me started on 90 fucking 4. Look at this lineup of greatness. United States. Look at this. Just, oh my God. Look at this lineup. Genre defining games. Just saying. How is emulation going? Asks Mike. Any regrets on selling off the collection? I need to start downsizing. No. I mean, I've bought a couple of things that I didn't have previously, but I haven't repurchased anything. Well, I mean, like an N64, okay, I had two N64s, but I bought an HDMI modded one because I wanted to make a video on it, and I wanted to check out Neverdrive and stuff like that. So, like, that's not necessarily like a repurchase for me. That's actually something where, you know, if I'm making content on it, like, I don't mind buying, you know, a retro game or something like that. But no, I don't have any regrets. My regret is I probably should have charged Phoenix Resale more. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, like, nah. I mean, like, everything that I can't emulate, like, I mean, there's still some experiences, like Virtual Boy. You got to stick your head in that. I still have a Virtual Boy, a DS or a 3DS. You can mimic the touch screen, and if you're playing a touchscreen centric game, then yeah, it's probably better. But I mean, they're starting to make clone handhelds that replicate it. So, you know, do you even really need it? There are some things that you get the more authentic experience with, but I feel like I have that pretty much covered as far as that is concerned. Five more minutes, and then we'll be wrapping things up. I plan on doing this more, and there might actually be a podcast coming on this channel. I've been floating the idea with Brett because nobody ever hears what Brett has to say about anything, and I feel like that would be fun. Probably not this week we're going to start it, but maybe next week. I still have to come up with, like, branding and shit on it. What is my main device? A mini PC? Yeah. I mean, I have, you can't see it, but I have like a fucking monster computer there, for like higher end stuff. Like, you know, attack, like a Metal Gear Solid 4 or something like that. But like those B-Link mini PCs, like, they work great for me. You know, especially if you're just trying to do like PS2 and under, you can't complain. Grandma is good. I saw her Friday, we had a thing over at her house for my cousin's birthday. And so we had a dinner over there. I have played Binding of Isaac, but I actually played it on the Switch. Yeah, the podcast should be fun. Just because it's like, it's not, you know, someone that you hear a lot from. It's not like John, where like he makes one video about it, he does one podcast talking about the same thing, and then he talks about it again on the Spawncast. It's like, shut the fuck up. Yeah, we might do some guests and stuff like that. I still got to figure all that, and it's not gonna be the fucking 2+ hour ones. I want like an hour and 15 tops. I feel like those are the best. You know, those other ones kind of drag on. I mean, obviously there can be individual instances of where, you know, things may take longer, but like just for the most part. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. The PS4 era was fine. But it was kind of the decline. You know, you started to see cracks in the modern industry foundation with the PlayStation 4. Games started taking longer. You started getting kind of this wall of diminishing returns with not only graphics but genres and stuff like that. Appreciate you, old age Mutant Ninja Gamer. Pantera Far Beyond Driven was released in '94. It was, and some of the games were, or some of the songs were in Doom. Have I thought about making a Knicks channel talking about it? Nah, I mean, I'm friends with Knicks Fan TV. I've been on there once before, and I'm usually in their live chat when they're doing the games. When they do live coverage of the games, I'm usually in there talking with them and post-game shows and stuff. Like, I would rather just, you know, hop on there occasionally than do kind of my own thing. Because it kind of, you know, it's kind of like, you know, because a lot of people forget this channel started as a wrestling channel, and I realized I was making all of my hobbies kind of work, you know, like video games. Okay, that's one thing. But, you know, if I'm doing a wrestling channel, well, now I'm like taking notes while I'm watching wrestling and thinking of things to talk about. And then right after it's done, I got to make a video, and it's kind of like, that feels like work. You know, all my hobbies, I don't have many, but if you make all your hobbies work, then they don't become hobbies. You don't get the time to enjoy them. Not to say that I don't have the time to enjoy video games, because I clearly do, but I would rather it just be one thing, that like one hobby that I turn into a career instead of all of them. Did I sell the Benz? No, I donated it to Cars for Kids, and they sold it at auction, and I got a big tax write-off for it because they sold it for way fucking more than I thought they would. 40-year-old LeBron better than the big bodega? Nah. No, sir. Cars for Kids was legit, dude. I can't believe they must have, at that auction, it literally must have been a collector, because I overpaid. I paid way too fucking much for that thing, and I expected to just lose all of that money, essentially. I literally got back like 65% of what I paid for it as a tax write-off, and I was like, you know what? That is a fucking win. Cavs ain't going to keep this up. Cavs are going to finish as a 4 seed. Mark it down. I just Genuine Jester. I just bought the 6-string fucking Squire bass thing that's like really a guitar. I forget the name of it. But like it's an it's a 6-string bass that plays like a guitar that's an octave down. So if you just play it like a guitar, like you get fucking like drop double E tunings on it, like it's nothing and everything stays really firm on it. I forget the name of it, but it's fucking rad. I have a Ford Pinto and a Ford Escort that says "Bad Boys, Bad Toys" on it. We used to have this neighbor when one of the places we lived at in North Carolina, and he was this really hairy Middle Eastern dude, and he was bald and he was fat, and he would always walk outside of his house without a shirt on, and he had a white Ford Escort that on the front vanity license plate said "Bad Boys, Bad Toys" on it, and he had a son named Peter who was like, he was like, I was probably 10-ish, and he was a little younger than me, and this kid was literally, like, I'm not saying this in a mean way, but this kid was like the gayest kid in the world. Like, he had a lisp, and he just talked like a theater kid. Like, he would knock on the door, and he'd try to play with my dog. He'd be like, "Can Sebastian come out and play? I'd really like to play with Sebastian," because that was the name of our dog. I'm like, all right, dude, that's cool. And I was just like, that's so weird, because, like, you're so young. But, like, I mean, that's just who the kid was. He was a good kid. His name was Peter. And, like, he kind of had, like, alfalfa hair, too. Dude, it's fucking sick, man. It's like the fucking strings sound like elevator fucking cables. Like, oh, he didn't have the GT. He didn't have the GT. Yeah, I remember his dad, like, sometimes you'd hear, like, Persian music at, like, 2 in the morning. All right, folks, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. I probably just got canceled for for talking about Peter, my next door neighbor. But, hey, I mean, he was a good kid. There's nothing wrong with it. I was just saying. You don't see many kids that look and sound and kind of acted, like, very feminine. At least not during that time. Geez, I'm digging my own hole deeper here. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. If you missed anything, we talked about the Game Awards situation and the Xbox situation, so be sure to hit rewind if you want to catch any of that information. This will probably be a regular thing. This might actually morph into the podcast, though, so we'll see. I just felt like doing this today. I haven't been live in a little bit. Just been kind of busy. Make sure you check out the main channel to check out today's video and any other videos. Make sure you pick up the book. Movie Madness Entertainment. Peter, that likes Peter. Movie Madness Entertainment, the $5. Would love to have you on for an interview. Is there a way I can contact you via X on email? Yeah, just send me a DM on Twitter, and I'll check my messages. But yeah, thank you guys for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you to everyone who donated and all the channel members. We'll go through those really quick. Movie Madness, Chris, Kelvin, David Lopez, DJ Tambora, Cramster, Quest for Glory, Paul Gale, Dante's, Drummer Punk, Blaze, Sly Rye, Cameron Overton, Steven Sullivan, Oh No, It's Alex, and Elements for becoming a member of the RGT Army. I appreciate you guys, and I will see you guys soon. Later.